Hello again, everybody. This is Marcel from Oregon, coming to you with another video. This one, I think, is something that's long overdue. This is about a guy who I think is an absolute moron, and I'm thinking about making a series, probably titling it Moron of the Week. This one's just been a moron for the last 20 years, and he's been a plague on our society for a very long time, and I don't care what anyone says, the man should not be allowed to speak, and his name is Rush Limbaugh. I've never understood how smart people, educated people, people that have class can listen to this man. I mean, he spews hatred at every turn. He doesn't give any solutions to any of the complaints that he has. And when he does give solutions, they're usually racist, sexist, and full of hate. Yet people listen to this man, and I don't understand it. He's a hate monger. He's a hypocrite. He's just a flat out liar. I mean, he has no redeeming qualities. I believe in the First Amendment, freedom of speech, 100%. But there are some people that should be not allowed to speak if they're making things worse. If they have no solutions, then they shouldn't be allowed to talk. I mean, he just stirs the pot, and then smokes his cigar and takes his drugs and laughs, in his $20 million home. And all he does is make people angry. He just spews lies. He sets back relations, race relations. He sets back the women's rights movement, rights of gay and lesbians. And it just shouldn't be allowed, He said things like, and I did research on all these quotes. Some of the quotes have not been confirmed to have been attached to him, and I'll tell you which ones those are. But they sound like him, so I'm going to attribute it to him. He said one time, the ocean will take care of itself if left alone out there. It's as natural as the water is. He's talking about the oil spill that happened, the Exxon. For a man who has a cochlear implant that came from science, the man sure does not believe in science. I mean, either you believe in science or you don't. You can't have it both ways, but he seems to think that he can. This was on May 3rd, 2010. And next one is they're out there protesting what they actually wish would happen sometimes. He was talking about women who protest against sexual harassment. He said that on his show in 2004. I don't believe any woman wants to be sexually harassed. Now, I do believe women want to be asked out on dates. But once she tells you, no, I'm not interested, move on. There are too many women in this world. Just move on. Quit bugging her. Then he said, what does it say about the college co-ed Susan Fluke? Who goes before a Congress committee and essentially says she must be paid to have sex. What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? It makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex. She's having so much sex she can't afford contraception. She wants you and me and the taxpayers to pay her to have sex. Now, he's referring to Sandra Luke. She was a student at Georgetown Law who was denied the right to speak at a conventional hearing on contraception, in which she planned to discuss a friend of hers who needed contraception to prevent the growth of cysts. February 29, 2012. Now, if he'd have read the whole thing, listened to the whole thing, he still would have said what he said. Let's just be honest. He still would have said it. But I think that if he had listened, he might not have been so hateful, and now he would have been. I can't justify it. A Georgetown co-ed told Nancy Pelosi at a hearing that women in her law program are having so much sex they're going broke, so you and I have to pay for birth control. So what would you call that? I call it what it is. So I'm offering a compromise. I will buy all the women at Georgetown as much aspirin to put between their knees as they want, so Miss Fluke and the rest of you feminazis, here's the deal. We're going to pay for your contraception and thus pay for you to have sex. We want something. We want you to post the videos online so we can all watch. How's that funny? Can anyone tell me why that's funny? That was on his show, March 1st, 2012. He said, let the unskilled jobs that take absolutely no knowledge whatsoever to do, let the stupid and unskilled Mexicans do that work. Fall 1993. Wow. I read that one 2 or 3 times just to make sure I got it right. So all Mexicans who are here doing work, they're all doing unskilled labor. And if you do have unskilled labor, then by all means you have to hire Mexicans. So it's talk like this that just makes me just want to slap him in the face and tell him to just go away. Have you ever noticed all the composite pictures of wanted criminals resemble Jesse Jackson? I didn't know Timothy McVeigh and Jesse Jackson looked alike. You know, the guy who blew up federal building in Oklahoma City, killing 173 people. Well, I don't know. My glasses must not be working right, apparently. There are more American Indians alive today than there were when Columbus arrived or at any other time in history. Does this sound like a record of genocide? He said this in See, I Told You So, page 68 in his book. I did a quick internet search that would tell him, if I could, you know, hey man, I did an internet search, and that before 1492 there were many as 20 to 100 million Native Americans. Full-blooded, I think there's less than 1 million of them now. Sounds like genocide to me. Cholesterol has nothing to do with heart disease. Nothing wrong with saturated fats. I'm not even going to argue that one because he went in the hospital for having high blood pressure for ingesting too many saturated fats and not exercising. But that's okay. You just got to be who you are. I think it's time to get rid of this whole National Basketball Association and call it the TBA. The Thug Basketball Association. Stop calling them teams. Call them gangs. Now, was he talking about Dirk Nowitzki? Or was he talking about LeBron James? I'll let you guys figure that one out. Look, let me put it to you this way. The NFL all too often looks like a game between the Bloods and the Crips without any weapons. There, I said it. Said that on January 19, 2007. That was right around the time when he was on ESPN. Didn't last long, and I thought that was just a dumb move by ESPN to put him on there because you knew he was going to say something bad. But which gang does Peyton Manning belong to? Looking at Peyton, I would think Peyton's like a Crip. You know, that's just me. And I would think when Donovan McNabb played, he was more like a Blood. You know, these guys are gangsters personified apparently. And this one, do you remember when Rush tried to buy and failed to buy the Rams? Well, Bill O'Reilly said that it was the thought police that spoiled his bid to buy the Rams, and that he searched and searched and could not find one racially insensitive moment from Rush. He said this in 2009. I was like, really, Billy Boy, really? You couldn't find anything he said racist? You, sir, are the quintessential liar. You don't know how to tell the truth. You really don't. I wish you did, but Bill O'Reilly's for another day. I mean, let's face it. We haven't had slavery in this country for over 100 years because it was a bad thing. Quite the opposite. Slavery built the South. I'm not saying we should bring it back. I'm just saying it had its merits. For one thing, the streets were safer after dark. Another Rush Limbaugh quote. You know who deserves a posthumous Medal of Honor? James Earl Ray, the confessed assassin who later recanted of Martin Luther King. We miss you, James. Godspeed. That's one of the quotes that was kind of hard to really pin down on him and when he said it. The NAACP should have riot rehearsal. They should get a liquor store and practice robberies. And this guy still has a radio show. Holocaust, 90 million Indians, only 4 million left. They all have casinos. What's to complain about? Really? So you go from 20 million to 100 million, or what he said, 90 million, down to 4. I think there's less than 4 million, but let's just roll with that. And you give them casinos. So hey, sorry about killing 80+% of your people. Here's a casino. I laugh because it's the only thing I can do to keep from wanting to, strangle the guy. And it's like people like him, some people think that his words come from up high, straight from God's lips to Rush Limbaugh's ears to the people that actually pay attention to him. Now, I did read his book years ago. I listened to his show. I watched his TV show, so I'm not someone who's commenting, someone who's never seen or heard him, who just, hear things about him and knowing I've actually read his book, I've actually watched him, listened to him, and he's the worst type of human being. He's the worst. And people who agree with him, I think, fail to realize that evil comes in many sizes and many shapes and many colors. He's fat and white, and he's just as evil as, to me, those people who, those ISIS people who are beheading those innocent people. Timothy McVeigh, he's just as evil as those guys because he sets us back every time he opens his mouth. He makes it harder for people to get along. He makes it harder for us to move forward and to be good people to each other. He makes you believe that only people of color want to hurt, maim, kill, do, and sell drugs. And if we continue to listen to him and forget the McVeighs, the Kaczynskis, the Dayton Leroy Rogers of the world, we'll never, ever be able to stop evil. I implore you people, please stop listening to him. And that's how I see it. Thank you.